Okay. All right. I think we can go ahead and get started. And I am just looking at who we have with us in the audience. It looks like we're among family today. So thank you everyone for joining once again. My name is Nicole Turkson. Many of you probably already know that. I've met you all. And I am the project coordinator with the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council. Carol, would you like to reintroduce yourself?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So happy to see friends new and old. I'm Carol Magruder, and I'm the co-chair of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council and the project director for Amplify and Finishing the Fight, the very proud project director.
Yes, indeed. So I went ahead. Was there a question up there? Okay, sorry about that. I went ahead and put a little ask in the chat for people to just introduce themselves, your name, your city, and the organization that you're representing today. And just a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. Just ask that you remain muted until the Q&A portion of the program. Any questions that you have, you can hold them until that part, or feel free to submit them in the chat. And we are recording this meeting, and the link will be sent to all of the people who registered and maybe were not able to attend today. So just to give a quick review of our agenda, we just did our introductions and housekeeping. We're going to do a quick overview of the Amplify and Finishing the Fight projects, which are co-sponsoring this Community Engagement Award opportunity. We're going to hear a little bit more from Carol Magruder about tobacco control and social justice, and then overview the CEA eligibility and requirements and application. And then we will take questions before we close. So once again, everyone who is here today are people who have worked with, have the pleasure to work with. So we're very familiar with the AATCLC, but just to reiterate, we are an organization that was formed back in 2008. We support a legacy of physical, mental, and spiritual wellness, doing so by supporting Black communities across California and increasingly across the nation to pass policies and other programs that support stronger tobacco control in Black communities, prioritizing specifically menthol and other flavored tobacco products, including hookah. Carol, would you like to talk a little bit more about Amplify?
Sure. And for this, I'll just have you advance the slides instead of trying to, but when I get into the other part of it.
Sure.
Finishing the fight. So we are, this process is being funded through two projects. One is Amplify, and the other one is Finishing the Fight. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about Amplify. Amplify is the African American statewide coordinating center, of which there are 6 different coordinating centers for the different priority populations in the state of California. So there's an Asian Pacific Islander, there's a Latino Hispanic, there's an LGBTQ, et cetera, et cetera. And so we are the ones who are doing it for African American and African immigrant populations as well. And we are very proud that since our inception, we have been including our new African Americans, the African immigrant community, and 2 of our founding members, one was from the Congo and one was from Ethiopia. So since our inception, we have been inclusive of all Black folks in California. So Amplify is the loving, supportive arm of this fight that we're in. So we're in the fight of our lives with the tobacco industry, and we were able to carve out a piece for ourselves to be able to love ourselves, to take care of ourselves, and to foster our physical, mental, and spiritual wellness. And so this is, and we want you to be incorporating that into what you do of putting some love on our community. So that's what that site is about. Next slide, please. So there are many components to it, and part of it is this process. We also support the African American projects that are funded through the California Tobacco Control Program, as well as community-based organizations that don't have funding. And that is where, you know, the majority of us don't have funding. And so we need to support the folks that don't have the funding. A vital part of Amplify is AMP Up, and that's our leadership development program. We will be starting another cohort probably in the early part of 2022. Our last group that we did was a faith leadership that was just wonderful. And so you can hear more about that. If you haven't participated, it would be great to have some folks who've been doing the community engagement award process to be a part of our leadership development program as well. Next slide. So then Tracy, Nicole, look, Tracy's on the line. Tracy, you got me fuddled. So we're going to turn it back to Nicole to talk about finishing the fight.
Thank you. So Finishing the Fight is one of the newer projects. We are in our second year being funded by the California Tobacco Control Program to support various campaigns across the state of California that are trying to pass policies that will protect the African American community from tobacco. Our project has three main objectives. The first, as I said, is policy-based to support jurisdictions across the state to pass ordinances that end sale of menthol and all flavored tobacco products. Our second objective is similar to this one in that it's policy-based. However, it focuses on little cigars, cigarillos, and blunt wrappers. So like your Swisher Sweets, your Black and Milds, your Zigzags, things that are very popular for co-use with cannabis, but that are tobacco products nonetheless, and are very popular amongst our Black youth. So minimum price packaging policies would make it less affordable and easy for people to get their hands on these products, because a lot of the times they're very cheap. You can get 2 little Swishers in a package for $1. So this minimum price policy would make it so that, you know, retailers couldn't sell it in packages less than 20, for example, for $10 or something like that, decreasing the accessibility of that. And then our third objective has to do with the idea of endgame. And endgame is a idea, you know, spearheaded by the California Department of Public Health that has to do with the state's goal to end the sale of all tobacco products, flavored or not, by the year 2035. And the way we're supporting that goal is by encouraging African American serving organizations and municipalities in the state of California to adopt resolutions saying that they are in support of endgame and will be taking steps to support this idea. That's also tied into our work that we're doing with the Convention to End All Forms of Racial Discrimination, or CERD, in which we're trying to uplift the targeting of menthol flavored tobacco products on the Black community as a form of racial discrimination. So at this point, we just wanted to show a quick video, especially for the newer folks who may have joined us on the call, who are still learning a little bit more about tobacco control, especially as it relates to African Americans. And so this is the trailer from the movie Black Lives, Black Lungs, which actually features Carol, as well as our other co-founders, Dr. Philip Gardner, Dr. Valerie Yerger. And it's a longer film. This is just a 2-minute trailer that really goes into the history of the tobacco industry targeting on the Black community. So I'll just play that for everyone to view.
3 years ago, I accepted an internship with Truth Initiative. At the time, I thought I knew everything I needed to know about tobacco, but what I knew was just the beginning.
One of the greatest marketing coups that took place in the 20th century is transforming menthol cigarette to the black cigarette.
During my time with Truth Initiative, I read dozens of research articles and stacks of internal documents directly from tobacco industry files. The tobacco industry strategically and successfully infiltrated my community. And while it's true that they targeted many groups, the targeting of the Black community has been uniquely damaging.
So it was good to see Black people in the ads and to see that there were Black models and that people saw that and they were very much attracted to that. It was sort of a double-edged sword.
They do target everybody, but when they target us, we die disproportionately from it.
We know the facts. We have the scientific knowledge that tells us that we die in larger numbers.
Tobacco-related diseases are still the #1 cause of death in the African American community.
47,000 African Americans a year die as a result of tobacco-related diseases.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 90% of all African American civil, religious, political, social organizations take money from the tobacco industry.
Behind the scenes, there were negotiations between the leaders of these organizations and tobacco companies.
Because there's money tied to it. And money makes things happen. Because of who we are, our lives are constantly at threat. Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot. I can't breathe. I think we're all answering the same question. What is the worth of a Black body in the United States of America?
All right. Don't want to play that again. Going to see if
3 years ago,
my apologies, everyone. Just 1 second.
And while Nicole is getting the PowerPoint back, I just want to say we're actually going to be reshooting, updating Black Lives, Black Lungs this weekend. The filmmakers coming out to interview myself and Dr. Phil and Dr. Val. And when I look at that film, it just gives me goosebumps because, this is before George Floyd, so many of the things that we have faced, COVID, and, what has changed? What has changed? And so many things have changed and many things have improved, but there's still a lot of pain that we face and a lot of racism and discrimination and violence against our community.
Yes, that's wonderful. That's going to be happening this weekend. Very exciting. And I'm, looking forward to seeing the next installment of it.
Yes.
So, that is just a brief glimpse into the film, which I'm sure many of people have seen. However, it's always worth rewatching. And the punchline is from that film and from all of this work that we do is that 85% of African American smokers use menthol cigarettes, and this is not an accident. When you compare to figures from the 1950s, this was only 5%. Because of the targeted marketing, like we saw in the clip where they had the product giveaways, literally just a van. Imagine a van playing, jazz music or hip hop music later on in the decades, enticing African Americans to come and pick up these products for free. We're addicted. We're addicted to menthol. Because of the menthol making it easier to smoke, it's easier to start, but much harder to quit. African Americans have more desire to quit smoking than other ethnicity studies show, but are less successful at quit attempts. And this is because of menthol. And we, on top of that, have limited access to culturally appropriate cessation resources, which is where Amplify really comes in and tries to uplift cessation as the next phase of our fight against menthol and other flavored tobacco products. And we have 45,000 African Americans that are dying each year from tobacco-related disease. So our loved ones, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, aunts, uncles, the matriarchs and patriarchs of our family are leaving us prematurely due to these products. And it's really just part of this whole social justice issue that is unacceptable. And so the work that we're doing is trying to resolve that. Increasingly, hookah is becoming a problem in our community, especially among our young Black professionals. Hookah is the practice of smoking tobacco from a water pipe. A lot of the times these are very large, beautiful, handcrafted pipes. The practice originated in India, I believe it was, centuries ago, and is very common in North Africa, Middle Eastern, and Asian cultures. But because of the profit margins associated with it is proliferating in the US and being targeted, just like menthol was, to Black communities. So we see hookah lounges that are popping up around college and university campuses, even HBCU campuses. Carol can talk more about this. She's witnessed it herself. And they're tying it to hip hop culture in the same way that they tied menthol to jazz culture all those decades ago. And, you know, we even have songs, music videos that really just glamorize this practice, and it's becoming very popular. And it's not a safer alternative to cigarettes or other forms of traditional commercial tobacco. A lot of people think that because of the water component, it is, but that's not the case. And you're actually getting up to 100 times more smoke and nicotine in a 1-hour hookah session than you would by smoking traditional cigarettes. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, Carol. Let me
Alrighty, I'm going to request remote control. And so my my throat, which I've had issues with, I was hanging out with my daughter in Atlanta over, it's been about 6 weeks now, and I went out and to witness this hookah phenomenon that's huge in Atlanta with our young Black people down there. And so my throat has not been the same since. And so that was the beginning. So that, you know, it is secondhand smoke, and then also burning charcoal inside is not a very good health practice either, because that's carbon monoxide that's released from charcoal, from carbon. You don't barbecue inside your living room. So all those little hookah pipes, when you have it in mass like they do down there, it's pretty wild to see that this is where we are. And so we've had to incorporate hookah into what we do as well, because that's being shunted more into our community more and more. So for those of you that have young adult children, talk to them about it, and they can give you an education. If you haven't seen it, they've seen it, I can tell you that. So this fight that we're in here, it's more than a health fight. It's a fight for social justice and a fight against social injustice. And that's where we're coming from. It's much more than just a simple health problem. And our issues with menthol and tobacco have clouded the whole US public health policy frontier, because they're trying to hold on to us. And so, and that is making everyone else is being held onto as well. So we have an African American tobacco control platform. And we developed this, Dr. Phil is a former Black Panther, but they had their 10-prong policy platform then. And so we have 10 pieces to this. I'm not going to read them all to you, but they will be made available to you. But the main thing is that it's a social justice problem, that we need to adequately fund cessation as well, to get people to stop smoking. And I'm hoping that some of you will be incorporating what you want to do to have some activities that are encouraging the decrease, because we're working on the supply end, but we need to also work on the demand inside of this, and so that people reject it and do not want it. So that's part of our strategy and our goal as well. And so there are 10 pieces to that. Okay, there's the rest of it. And so the first one is prohibiting the sale of menthol and all flavored tobacco products. And so we have had huge success, more than we've even imagined, including the state of California actually passed a law that was signed into law by Governor Newsom in June of 2020 that would have taken menthol and all flavored tobacco products off the market in California. Hookah was able to carve out an exception, and we're going to work on that. And when that happened, the tobacco industry promptly collected signatures, oftentimes lying to collect them, saying that the opposite of what they were doing. But nevertheless, it will be on the ballot in November of 2022. So once we get into the new year, you all are going to see an Armageddon propaganda and rhetoric that will be put out by the tobacco industry. And so since we cannot lobby with public dollars, our only hope is to truly educate and inform our people, so that when they hear the lies and the rhetoric of the tobacco industry saying that what we're doing is going to harm Black people, that menthol cigarettes belong to Black people, and how can we take them away, that it's going to criminalize African American men, like Eric Gardner, which sparked the I Can't Breathe when he was murdered in New York because he was allegedly selling single cigarettes. And our position on that is that we need police reform in this country. There are many Black people who are killed every day who aren't doing anything. And so to think that we're protecting people by letting the biggest predator, which is the tobacco industry that kills 45,000 Black people every year in this country, the biggest killer of Black men is the tobacco industry. So they don't get a pass while we get the police reform together. So we need to do those things simultaneously. And there's much happening on that front. We're involved in that as well. We all need to be. But at the same time, we must continue to move the agenda forward to get the deadliest products off the market, which are methylated tobacco products. So the purpose of our Community Engagement Awards is to strengthen the tobacco control capacity of our nonprofit organizations that serve African Americans, to engage community members in this fight, and for us all to know that this is our fight, this is the fight of our community. And this is the real important thing, is to integrate commercial tobacco control into the broader context of people's lives. We have a lot of issues, and so when you just come up to somebody and say, don't smoke, that's not what we need to hear. We need to hear it in the context, in the full context. And that's where you come in, and where we want you all this to be an easy lift for you, and for you to be creative and think about what your mission is of your organization, what you're already doing, and how can you incorporate commercial tobacco control into what you're already doing, so that it's a win-win for all of us, and it's not an onerous and cumbersome process for you. So our job is to help you to navigate this process and to support you in doing whatever it is that you want to do once it's approved, once we agree on what that's going to be. And we're building our connection to you. And so if you have already applied and have received funding, so you know that process. And also there are opportunities that are coming up. So to get a grant, to get funding from this California Tobacco Control Program, or even a county health department, can be an onerous lift. And so part of our job also is to help you navigate that, to tell you when there are funding opportunities that are coming, and to get you ready for that. And that's what we're doing. And we also are asking you all to help us to broadcast this and to share this opportunity. This is a supportive environment. We're looking to have more funding for this. So even if you're not funded in this round, we will be keeping the successful applicants in the pool, and we'll be going to those again when we get more funding. So we're looking to increase the funding that we have for this so that we can fund more projects. But we invite you to reach out to folks who could benefit from this, other organizations, and to help us with that outreach as well. So let's see here, I skipped. So what are some of the things that we're looking for people to work on? People who are working social justice, police reform, international justice issues. Nicole briefly talked about, we will be taking our plight before the United Nations at some point. There's many things that the tobacco industry has done to the African-American community, has been racialized profiling, and it's a violation of the International Treaty for the Convention to eliminate all forms of racial discrimination. So we are taking it up outside of the confines of our United States of America, so that the world can help us as well to navigate with what our government won't do. And the AATCLC, we are actually suing the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, because they were given a mandate to take menthol off. In their own studies and research, they have said that that is the way to go, that would benefit public health, and they have yet to do anything. So we actually have an administrative lawsuit that's in place right now, that's inching its way through our system, our legal system, to compel them to do what they need to do. In response to that lawsuit and a citizen's petition, they have announced their intention to enter into the rulemaking process to take these products off the market. And that would be next year. But we know with gridlock and all the forms of political interference that we see in every aspect of our lives in terms of politics, we know that we must move forward until they act. And that hopefully one day when they do act, we will already have our things in place. And that way we can be a guide for the rest of the country when the FDA decides to act. Another area that we would like are concerned about is that our children have the highest rates of asthma. They have the highest exposure to secondhand smoke, and that's in the home, where people haven't gotten the memo that secondhand smoke, it injures your health. It hurts our babies. It contributes to sudden infant death syndrome. And so we want to do things about that too. So groups that are working with our families around secondhand smoke, this would be a natural fit for them. We also want to help Black smokers. And Nicole talked about this. We have Dr. Karen Beard, who is our chair in this department. We are going to be really working to hold our people's hands to get them to access existing services like the quit line, and to also have our churches and our supportive institutions to do things to help our Black smokers and to put some love on them, because they feel under siege as we take these products offline, as we enact more laws and legislation. When you're addicted to something, you need some help and love and support. So that's areas that we're interested in as well. Increasing wholeness. We have funded, there's a brother, Dad Yoga Dude, who does yoga. He's working on men's health, on meditation, on stress, relief and reduction. So what can we do to love ourselves and increase our wellness and wholeness? And so, and we are, you know, I'm a Bay Area hippie girl, so things that are other people might consider to be a little bit way out, you know, I'm there. So if you have some ideas along those lines, those are welcome and would be supported. Decreasing stress. Stress is one of our biggest killers as well, and contributes to all of the things, aging, all of the other things, diabetes. So how can we decrease stress? So those are just the areas that we're interested in, and we want you to use your creativity and to show us something. So this funding is available for African-American led and serving nonprofit organizations who are 501c3s or in the 509A1. I'm not sure what that is, Nicole, but anyway, we're mainly looking at 501c3s, and maybe Nicole can explain what that is. So we want an African-American led organization is one that has an explicit mission to serve African Americans or immigrant populations. This is kind of advancing on its own here. Sorry about that. So this piece is, we want authentic Black folks who are serving Black folks. So that's the point of this. There sometimes an African-American group will have a fiscal that's non-African-American, that's fine. But we really do want some true organic work that's from us, by us. And of course, we do not discriminate, but that's what we are looking for, hopefully. And so this next round of funding, you must address tobacco use or tobacco-related disease, or other natural plant or synthetic-based products. Also, the e-cigarettes, which are being pushed on our community, that's part of this. We do not want people to switch from combustibles to e-cigarettes. We want people to stop. And when, you know, Juul is pushing that e-cigarettes as a cessation, but what we find is that people use both. So there's just not enough research that's done, and we want our folks to get off of all of these products. So the application review process, what you will have to do is there's a cover sheet. There's a proposed activity summary, which you're going to briefly describe what you're going to do. You will have a scope of work, which is with specific goals, objectives, and activities. You're going to have a proposed budget with an explanation, no more than 2 pages. And so these grants, we're looking in the $3,000 range. So keep it simple. Do not tell me you're going to change the world with $3,000. Keep it reasonable for this amount of money. It's not a lot of money. It helps you to do what you're doing. And you have to also provide your proof of nonprofit status, certification of non-acceptance of tobacco funds. We will not fund anyone who's taking any type of funding from tobacco industry or tobacco related entities. Juul has been giving money now to Black organizations, and this is what they do to try to suck our communities in, is because they know we need funding. And that's a strategy that the industry uses, but we cannot work with folks who are taking any funding from the tobacco industry. Yes, people who are fiscally sponsored can apply. Yes, Ms. Brown. So you can have a fiscal sponsor. That fiscal sponsor does not necessarily have to be an African-American organization. And so if you have a question, this is a very open process, and we will, this thing is jumping around on its own, Nicole. We will work with you on filling out the forms. So, and you also have to have a general liability insurance certificate. So you'll have, it's a packet, and then we will have another session for those that are applying to answer questions as well. So this is the timeline. It's an electronic proposal submission, and that will be due December 6th. So you have a nice month to get it together. We will notify people January 10th, and that's will be 2022 there. We got to change the year. Then we will have our negotiations with you over a week or so, execute our agreements, and we want to start the projects by February 1st of 2022. So this is what the cover sheet looks like. You can see that it's simple, and this is all online. This is where you're going to do your scope of work, your activity of what's going to happen, of who's going to do it, and what's the timeline. And I would imagine you would just have one objective. And so keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. Evaluation is how will you measure your success of what you did. Keep that simple as well. And so we are here to help you and to give you some concrete steps on how to refine what you're doing, or we're very open to questions. So a lot of times a funder will tell you, don't ask us any questions, or you have a certain day to ask questions by, but we're pretty supportive. So you can run something by us before you do all the work. And we can kind of give you, if you're in the right area, if you're headed down the right path. Here, this is the budget and the budget justification. You can use some funding to pay for staff. So this is pretty simple here, how much it would be if there's in-kind, which usually there is, and the total amount requested. If there's supplies, postage, communication, travel, those, and you'd add all those up. So you tell us. You can give out stipends or gift certificates to people. I think our maximum is $50 per person. That's per the state. And you would, you can let us know what you're interested in doing, and then we can help you tighten that up. This is the form that you have to fill out for certification of non-acceptance of tobacco funds. And when you're setting your goals, you want them to be SMART. So you want them to be specific, to be measurable, to be attainable, to be realistic, and to be time bound. So have real numbers, be able to track what you're doing, and make it something attainable. As I said, you're not going to change the world with $3,000. Realistic. So it doesn't, don't pile things on to make it look better. Just have something that's reasonable that you can really do. That's what we're looking for.
All right.
So
Thank you, Carol.
Okay.
Anything else that you wanted to say before I move on with the just examples?
Okay, I'm going to give up remote control, and then you can go back. So you should have it back now.
Thank you. And then sorry for the PowerPoint jumping around a little bit like that. Technology still manages to have the last laugh.
Yes.
But I just wanted to go over a few examples. This is our second round of CEA funding. And so last year, or this year, actually, we had some wonderful, wonderful projects executed by our partners across the state. We were working with Black Arts Los Angeles. They integrated a tobacco control education booth into the Juneteenth fair that happens in Lamert Park every year. And so, on the left is the flyer that they put together for the fair. And then on the right, you can see the booth that they put together, the banner, light up your life, not a cigarette, which I love that slogan. And they had some information and some incentives, which they distributed to the fair goers. This was some pictures that they also submitted, which are adorable. Also interacting and engaging the kids, which is really who are really what we're doing this for. They're who we're doing this for, to protect them, make sure that they never pick up these products in the first place. We also had the Healing Institute, representatives of which are here today. Shout out to Jackie and Valerie, who were excellent partners. They integrated tobacco into the work that they do, supporting families and individuals affected by cancer. And so in their walk that they did in Oakland, Walking to Live, Celebrating Life, they passed out information. And then prior to the walk, they actually had a webinar that featured a presentation by Dr. Phil Gardner, one of our AATCLC co-chairs, to just educate their network more about the issue, what they can do to get involved. We got the opportunity to work with the Black Student Union over at Cal Baptist University here in Southern California. They did a really unique program in which they integrated discussions, lectures actually, about tobacco control as it affects African Americans into the curriculum for some of their students, their undergraduate students. And the BSU over there was led by some very motivated undergraduate students who really did an excellent job. They also had a social media page, which they curated posts that were educational, and they just did great work. The recordings of these lectures are available to this day. And then we had another group that did a spoken word piece, which we'll be playing shortly. They titled this program Behind the Haze, The Truth About Vaping and Smoking. I believe this was 100 Black women of Silicon Valley that put this on. And again, this is another informational session, but the spoken word piece was really what stole the show. And so this is something that we know that our community is interested in. It would grab their attention. And so this sort of work, just this creative work that integrates the arts, is something that we really love, support, and want to uplift. So I would just love to share this 5-minute piece with folks to see the wonderful work that they put on. Oops, in just a second, let me pull that up, actually.
Greetings, everyone. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Imagine that you're free, walking through your favorite place, good friends, and good family. As you walk, you see a box that one person doesn't leave. A pretty mist begins to fall, and it makes it hard to see. You look around and search for a friendly face to make you feel safe, only to find the woman hugging the wooden box. It looks so strange. You walk towards the woman hunched over this mysterious case. What could it be? And then you wake up asking yourself, what could this mean?
Danger.
With every flavor that you need.
Danger.
They make money while you bleed.
Danger.
A shadow wants you to die. You're in danger. Your family cares about your life. We know the thought of it makes you feel grown and strong. Smoke coming out of your soul, and the road is long. Can you see your mother's face in that pretty smoke while a white billionaire laughs and grabs a rope? There's a coffin with your name on it if you want it, but I don't think you do. Why lie? Vaping is a vampire digging your grave and waiting for you. Can you hear your family cry? You said you want power in life to do what you want and be free. But when you smoke, there's a slave in your mind. And this I know because it used to be me. You want it so bad, it controls you. What you think is strength is actually weak. Little by little, the devil will hold you. American society using chemicals to make strong black and brown weak. The deadly tobacco will take you where you don't want to go with that nicotine rush to your brain. Have you ever seen a person slowly die of cancer with their family having to witness the pain? Why would you want to walk down that road of suffering? To live like an exhaust pipe and have dog breath. Don't fill your life with the devil's smoke. You don't want that long death. There's other ways to escape the stress. Our ancestors have the keys to that happiness. Give thanks for the heart in your chest. Your life is worth more than gold. Take back your power and reclaim your life. Let them know you can't be sold. American ways will teach us to disrespect life, even our own. But our souls know the true blessing of the divine, and we're not made of stone. When we asked for candy, they gave us cigarettes with a fake badge of honor, waiting for us to eat it with and die with cancer. It's just a coffin for some dollars. Chemical warfare on our people from the first times, trading slaves and other things for European liquor and wine. Convince red people to drink the poison while they take our land and attack our way of life. Reservations and ghettos are internal colonies where our warriors, parents and children become ashes for the cemetery. And yet we find weapons to stop the attack and prevail in the face of this cross we carry. Although too many armies of our people have one foot in the coffin, most of us don't. And our soldiers, protectors, providers are waking up more every day as if God's in control. But let there be no illusion. This is a fight for your soul, and your mind is the battlefield. Don't get lost in confusion or let pain take control. With the right medicine, you have to heal. Don't let the enemy put a hook in your brain, because you're better than that. Stomp on addiction and any other chains that are holding you back. Activate your inner God with all the fire and words that burn in your heart, soul, and mind. Visualize yourself building your palace with a bright garden of peace, purple love frozen in time. Your family healthy and happy, sipping on cups of laughter and tenderness. You pulled each other from the jaws of the beast. To hell with chemical slavery and living half of the life you're supposed to. When you're healthy, we say life is a feast.
Don't fill your life with smoke. You're bound to lose your life. Don't fill your life with smoke or choke to death before it's time. All that will remain are memories and passions. One day we must proclaim the power of our ancestors' actions.
Danger.
With every flavor that you need.
Danger.
They make money while you bleed.
Danger.
A shadow wants you to die, you're in danger. Your family cares about your life.
Danger.
All right. And then just 1 second while I pull up the rest of my PowerPoint. So that was Danger poem, spoken word poem, written and performed by one of our CEA recipients awardees from last year. Just a lovely piece. I feel like it really just resonated. And so anything that is creative will catch the attention of our people, will help things to stick. This education and information that we're giving them to stick. We really encourage that. And we're here to help again and provide support, technical assistance where we can to help you accomplish these goals. So at this point, we'll go ahead and take questions. Are there any questions out there? Feel free to unmute yourself. Also, happy to take comments from some of our previous CEAA partners who may be on the line.
Any questions? You can either turn your camera on or unmute yourself and ask, or you can put it in the chat. I prefer if you just ask. Don't be shy.
Hello, Nicole and Carol and everyone on the call.
Hello, great to see you.
So the process from start to finish was excellent. The support provided with understanding the application, to technical assistance, to providing tools, masks and various items. Carol and Nicole and doctor who spoke for us at our webinar. They were all great. It's a great program. And so that's why we're back. We are ready to go to get the word out about what the tobacco industry is doing to our people and to get it ended.
Amen. Wonderful. So yes, once you get funded, then we work for you. We work for you all along, but we really work for you once you become a part of the team, and we will do what we need to do to get you what you need. And so we'll present at your events if you want. We just have to work out logistics.
I see a question in the chat from Tracy. Can people who are fiscally sponsored apply?
So yes, if you don't have your own 501c3, if you have a fiscal agent, that agent can apply, and they would receive the funding and then disperse it to you. And the other thing is I have to get some clarification on groups who were already funded. Previously, I know we did not fund to the max, so there's some wiggle room there. And then it's I don't know if it's per fiscal year, per calendar year, but I will get some clarification on that to let folks know who were previously funded what we can do, what we can work with, and when the period would start over, when you would be able to get the full amount.
Any other
questions?
See something in the chat. Oh, you're welcome, Miss Valerie.
And I just want to say, Nicole managed this process last time and just did a fabulous job. So she was the point person. We also have Yolande Burrs, who's the program manager for Amplify, Joan Taylor, who's the fiscal, Ernesta Wright, and Ekua Arma. So those are all the staff people who will be helping with the process. But Nicole was the lead, took the lead on this and did an excellent job.
I would have to agree. She was very supportive. Thank you so much. I don't think we could have been so successful if we didn't have the support of you two.
Oh, you're very welcome. Hopefully we can do it all over again.
Yes.
All right. Well, if there aren't any other questions, thank you all for joining us. If anything does come up after this call, feel free to shoot me an email. Just as a reminder, the deadline to apply is December 6th. And so the link to the application has been going around, but will be sent out again as part of the follow-up email from this program. And again, please help us to spread the word. If you know of any organizations that are—
Give me one more second, hold on.
Sure, I ain't doing that.
I'm sorry, I just wanted you to know I was here. I'm trying to multitask over here. This is Kathy.
Hi, Dr. Kathy.
How you doing? Good afternoon.
We're doing great.
I'm
Happy
on
to
third
see you,
meeting
dear.
today, so yeah, thank you. I just wanted to come here. Great job. Great.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
So you'll get an e-blast with the archive of this webinar, and please, so then help us get the word out, and it'll have the links and all the information that you need. And then if you think of other questions, you can just shoot an email to Nicole at any time, and we can help you answer the questions. And then if you have an idea, you can also shoot the idea by us before you do a lot of work on it, so we can help you refine it and make sure you're headed in the right direction.
Yes, and then I just saw a question, what time is the application due? It's going to be due, that day is a Monday, so by 5 p.m. that day. Monday, December 5th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.